Hi everybody, this is Manuel and welcome to another Luminar video. In this video today I would like to talk about my workflow when I work with layers and filters inside of Luminar. If you guys are used to the layer concept, this may be very basic, but if you guys are new to the concept and want to see what I'm doing, this is the video just for you. So I'm going to work on this image in a few minutes here. This is an image that I shot in Washington State on the beach. Unfortunately, my camera lens was very dirty at that point. You can see there's a lot of dark spot in the sky everywhere in this image. It's not a bad image, but it is a little flat, meaning the sky doesn't have much details into it, and there's a lot of shadows, and the rocks are very dark. So we're going to work to get a better sky, we're going to work to get a better rocks, and make the beach look a little better all around. So I'm just going to go quickly and then show you guys a more advanced photo that I've done. And I was just trying Luminar when I did this composite there. And I want to talk about my workflow a little bit. So as you can see in my layer panel here, I have a lot of different layers and they all name. So basically I have my boat layer, my sky, my color, my light, the boat, the vignette. I have some mask specific to those layers. And I have filters, and my workspace is different every single layer. So if I were to go back to my boat layer, the very first layer, I didn't do anything to it. It's just a filter layer. My workspace is clear. And then what I did is I just added a sky. So to add the sky to this image, if I go on my plus panel, my layers, you can do the add new image layer. It will add this specific image. And then you get to work on this image to make it work. So I did some work with it and I created a mask. And basically my mask is only showing the sky around the boat. No filter on this one. So basically all I did is my boat photo, my sky photo, and then I created another layer. And this one, it's my coloring. So now everything become green. And with my color layer, then I have all the filters which is associated with what I wanted to do. So my colors, my split tones, my highlights, my shadows, color temperature, and everything for the coloring. Then the light, I did work on the light on the scene because it's a little too bright. And then the boat, then I did a little bit more work specifically on the boat. Now again, my filters, my workspace look very similar. But if I go to my light, you'll see my workplace only have exposure to it. So basically, my crop vignette layer, all it is a vignette attached to it. So I like to work with layers. I like to add the images first that I want to work with. If I had to do some retouching to these because it's dust particle, I do that at first. Then I add new layers specific to what I want to do. All right, so that's my workflow. One layer for a specific purpose, and with that specific layers, a specific workplace, a specific amount of filters that goes with that layer, and then the masks. Okay, so let's go back to our image here and let's look at what we can do here. So with that in mind, we're gonna go and clear this workspace and start from scratch. Now that's done, I'm going to go and rename my first layer. My layer 0 is what you see here. It's my base layer. It is my main image. So you can go on the little wheel here and click rename. I'm going to rename the base image. Okay. What I need to do now is I need to clean all these little spots. So I'm going to use the clone stem tool. I'm not going to create a new image because the clone stem tool will do that by itself. So if you're new to the clone stem tool, this is a great tool that you can use to get rid of particles and stuff. So before I go and do any change, I'm going to go into the tools here, clone stamp. I'm going to make sure the opacity is at 100%. And then I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to go wherever I need to make some change. And they're asking me to click to set the source. So see that little circle with the plus inside? I'm going to click next to where I want to do the change. That won't change, but my brush now is moving, but not that little circle. What that means is whatever is going to be in my brush, it's taking from the little black circle area. So I'm just going to go and click on all those little dust particles I see. Now I have this one over there, which is going to be a bit tricky here because I can't really clean this spot because I will replace the sky with the rock. So I need to click the Option Alt key, go on the other side in the sky, the dust particle, and then I'm able to move around. So this is how you redo a selection. Option Alt key. So I'm going to go very quickly here in the sky. I may miss a few spots, but when you do that at home, you really want to take your time. If I were to try to remove like a person or a rock out of the image, I can do that with the clone stem tool. It's actually a great tool for that, but I will need to really take my time when I'm doing it. So I'm going to look, see if I missed something look weird. Now it's perfect. So I'm going to apply this, and then Luminar will process and create its own layer, and it will name that clone and stamp. Here it is. It's right there. So now that I have these two layers, I am good to start working on my the sky or the rocks. So let's start with the rocks and the beach. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to go into plus. And then the adjustment layer, this is what we want to do here. I'm going to press adjustment layer, and then this panel comes up. Now if you know what you want to do, that's fine. If you don't, what you can do is just close this, go to your workspace, and then you can go to your landscape, for example, which is one of the 4 presets of workspace that come with Luminar. So tone is what I was really looking for. So we're gonna just move up the exposure a little bit. I don't care what's gonna happen to the sky, by the way. I'm just looking at the beach. Smart tone's a nice little feature from Luminar, which I think it's a great thing about this software. There's a lot going on that you won't find in other editing software. So with just these 3 little changes, I am somewhat happy with what happened to the rocks now. I have more details, I can see what's in there, and this is all I want to do. So instead of like playing with all the other one there, I will do nothing, or maybe just a little clarity. Clarity, I find it's good when you have like texture, like rocks, for example, on the beach. It really adds a little bit more depth to it. So now I'm happy with this. I'm going to rename this layer. I could have done that before starting to work on it, but I'm going to do that definitely now. I'm going to call that rocks. So now I'm happy with this, but I'm not happy what happened to the actual sky. So I'll need to create a mask in order to only have this change, the filter we changed here, just so it works on the rocks on the beach. So come here on that little wheel, we're going to go to mask, and then we're going to fill mask. So see what's going to happen here. If you're new to the mask concept, we have this white rectangle here. So white reveal, black will hide. So it's white now, nothing happened because the white is revealing everything. So if I go around and I go to mask and I invert this mask, it will become a black mask. So you'll see now it's black, and now no change is showing because black is hiding everything. So what can we do here? Well, we're going to choose the brush. With the brush, make sure your opacity is at 100% for this, and it doesn't really matter for the size right now. We're going to play with it. So see, there's a plus into the brush. So if I do press on this, there's a plus, and the minus is this one. So we want to make sure we're on the plus. So what we're going to do here is we're going to paint. So I'm going to paint a section on the beach here, and now see, we're revealing all of the effect that we created. It is revealing. So if you look into the mask on the right side, which was the black mask, now you can tell wherever I'm painting, it's turning white, meaning that it's revealing what I'm doing. So masking is, it's kind of hard to do if you're doing it kind of far away, like I'm doing right now. You can spill over, it might not work so good, but I'm doing it very quick now for the sake of this tutorial. But what you want to do is start zooming in. Once you start getting to some areas that are hard to mask, for example, this little rock there. So see how I am zoom in there. So it's so much easier to do a nice selection by zooming in like this. So basically all you gotta do is go ahead, do your selection, and whenever you're done doing that, oh, by the way, I'm pressing the space bar to get my hand to be able to move the image when I'm zoom in. So Just do a fine selection. Whenever I am done with this, I'm going to make sure I've selected everything. And I'm just going to go around. And if I spill over, let's say if I were to go spill over over here in the wave, I can press the Alt option, and then it will become a minus inside my circle, and then I'm painting black again onto my mask. So if you spill over, it's not a big deal. That's what's great about these masks, is you can go around. So I did spill over a bit here on the rock, so you can go around and hide this again with some black into your mask. Okay, so let's say I'm happy with this, so we're just gonna zoom out, look at it, and then it looks fantastic. So now we're gonna work on our sky. So I could have done the sky and trying to do the rock at the same time, but I'd rather doing them separately. So I'm gonna create a new layer, again an adjustment layer. If you know what you want to do here, I know I want some highlight and shadows. Whoops. I'm gonna add filters, sorry, I was one click too fast. I know I want some highlight and shadows, so I'm gonna choose this. I'm gonna rename my layer Sky. It selected twice the filter there for unknown reason, so we're gonna go ahead and delete one. If you want to delete a filter, it's the bottom right here in the little X, and that filter will be gone from your workplace. Now the secret to it is, if I do change the slider now, it's going to affect the whole picture, so I only want to affect the sky. Because we already done a mask, what you could do is go back to your mask here, right click on it, and then go to copy mask, and then we're going to go to our sky layer, right click on it, or you can go to the wheel and then go to mask, and then what you can do is paste this mask. The only downside of this right now is when we paste this mask, there's another step, because right now the mask is identical at the bottom at the one we have on the rocks, which is only the rock, not the sky, so you're going to invert this mask. So again, you can right click or go to the wheel. By the way, it's the same thing. Go to mask, and we will invert the mask, which now if you take a look at your mask, it will be white in the sky and black on the rocks. So whatever change we do, only going to affect the sky. So we're going to go into highlights. I'm going to bring those highlights down. And then whenever that happened, you'll see the sky get a little darker. So that's my secret with clouds. I like to play with the highlights. So more highlights in there, it basically make the sky look better, a little better. So if you want to, you can add another filter. We can go with, let's see here what we could use. A curve, oh, not DAs, curve, sorry. We're gonna delete this, and then we're gonna add a curve layer. My bad. My computer is running a little behind right now, so, and then we're gonna have curves. And then with the curves, what we're going to do here is like play with it a little bit. Make sure it's a little darker in the sky. It's all I really want to achieve there. And then, you know, maybe contrast just like that. Okay, so now I'm happy with this. Now see, it really make my mask look, around the rock look a little weird when I did those change. So if I want to, what I can do here, because you can see it affected the rocks, I didn't want that. So you can, again, with the brush, come in there, zoom in, and then we're just gonna paint inside there, because I didn't realize that was taking. So see how by doing that I did add some stuff. So this is where you're gonna go and subtract, because I want to take it out of there. I want it to be black and not white, so I need to subtract. So if you're not too sure about the subtracting or adding, all you gotta do is like try it, and then if it's not one way, it's the other, and then you can easily change it. So then you gotta really kind of, you know, play with it and fine tune your mask. That way it looks better. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom out again and come back to our main image. So here we go. Now I'm happy with all this. What I'm gonna show you here was a little bit more, sorry, a little bit on the rock here. I'm gonna get rid of this because I didn't want that to be there. Here it is. Let's say I'm happy with this picture. What I'm gonna do is create another layer. So I'm gonna combine all these right now. what's happening is if I were to take one layer out of the equation, let's say if I come here and I take this layer rocks out of there, if you press on the eye icon, it will take that layer out of the equation. So it's showing you everything, but if I were to press on the eye again, then you can see the change we did on the rocks. So you can show the layer, see? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna combine all these 4 layers together. So we go to plus and then create new stamp layer. So by doing that, what Luminar is doing right now is adding the base, the clone stamp, the rocks, and the sky, and basically it's melting everything, it's merging everything together into one single image. So if I want to make a vignette, I like to do that before I make my vignette, because if I were to make a vignette on the sky layer, because there is actually a mask on it, only the sky part would have a vignette, not my master layer. Realize that my mask is wrong. I go back to my mask, then I can't change it because my master layer is on top of everything. Okay, here it is. We're back to the stamp layer. So with this, what I can do here is I'm going to add one filter here. No, first let's change the name. Right click, I'll go to the wheel. I'm going to call that vignette. Whoa. And final. And I will add the vignette filter to it. So you can always do that by clicking your filter, go at the bottom, say vignette. And once you get the vignette, I like to go full board with it, see what the effect look like in terms of the size and the roundness and everything. And then from there, I adjust my vignette and I do whatever I find looks good with it. In this case, let's just pretend that we like what we see here. We're just going to bring the amount back to maybe in the middle, somewhere in there. Oh no, let's go full tilt. I'll show you something here. Let's go full tilt with this. And then what you can do, you look at it and you're like, man, if we did a bunch of adjustment together and you think it's a little too strong, you can change the opacity. So the blend mode here, there's different modes for your layers, which is a little bit more into advanced tutorial that I'll talk later on about, but the opacity is what I'm getting at. So if you think it's too much, you can bring the opacity down a little bit. And what's going to happen is the opacity of this specific layer is going to change. Now, because we did a master copy, it's necessarily not the best thing to do with the opacity, but let's say we're happy with this. We can leave it like that. Okay? So this is my workflow. Basically, just keep in mind what I like to do again. I'm going to just tell you guys is make my base image, import my image into my my photos, into my image. Then clean them if I have to do any cleaning, and then start working with very specific layers, name them, have the appropriate filters, have the appropriate mask for these layers, and make them, they are separate from each other. And if you want to, whenever you're like, okay, well, I'm happy with this product and I want to save this Luminar file, then you can do that. You can come back and revert to it. But if you want to, let's say if you're happy with your sky and your rock layer, I'm just going to take this vignette out of there. I'm just going to hide it. So what you can do is merge these 2 layers together and commit to it, which I don't necessarily commit that so often. So I press command, I click, I chose these 2, I right click here, and then what you can do there is merge visible layers. So it's going to merge the layers that are selected. This will take a few seconds to a few minutes, but here it is. I have a merge sky layer. So basically make one layer out of it. So it takes less memory once you get to you know, the end of it. If you do something like my clone stamp, I was happy with it. I could have merged it with a base layer if I wanted to, but it's a little destructive, so I don't necessarily do that. And then okay, we're gonna go to vignette final. Make sure you always select your final image and then the final layer, to see everything under it. And what you can do is press on the before and the after, and this is it. Look at what we've created, basically with a few layers major difference, right? And that was done very quickly. So at home you can take your time, do a better job, but that's the gist of it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I will be doing a little bit more in-depth and details tutorials about the layers and what you can do with the blending mode down the road. And I will probably do a major image digital blending, image composite. So if you have any questions, any comments, feel free to send me an email. If you would like to subscribe to my channels, you can do so right here. And thanks for watching. Bye now.